Alright, here we are. So, today, we have what is hopefully a short show. You know me, it goes and it goes. And you never truly know. But I would like to think today's gonna be short. God, I hope today is short. Because I don't really have that much. We got 2 news stories. We have a few things on WIBE. Most of it's television. We got 2 food things, but one of them is a massive fucking disappointment, so not even gonna worry about that, honestly. But the other one's decent. And yeah, we got 1 video game, 2 TVs, no movies this week, nothing else really, and like the news stories barely fucking count. We can probably go through the news stories real quick. Actually, I gotta pull up one thing that I forgot to grab. Where is it? Oh god, that's not gonna help. Wario64 to the rescue, maybe? But yeah, I don't really have that much. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't have that much. It's just kind of, you know, it's a slow week. We had the Mario Galaxy movie last week. That was kind of the big thing. And I did go and see the Mario Galaxy movie a second time. I will fully admit I did see it again. I don't actually have that much to add. Or at least I didn't write down anything in my notes. I'm sure I actually did have things to say. But, I'm not really gonna worry about it. Yeah, let's not worry about it, shall we? It is, you know, my thoughts are still the same. It's a flawed movie, but I had a good time. So, like, what else can you ask for? For game this week, I've got Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, which, okay, if you've never played the game before, it's divided into 3 episodes. Episode 1, 2, 3, bonus and special. At least, okay, I know that's more than 3, but you know what I mean. My goal is, right, last week we did episode 1. This week we do episode 2, which will take us probably like an hour. Episode 3, though, is like twice as long. So I'm thinking we don't do episode 3 next week. Or we don't do episode 3 this week. We save that for next week. And do that, and then we'll do the special / the bonus stuff. You know, the post-game content in the DLC. We'll do that either next week or the week after, depending on how long things go. But instead, after we do an episode of Captain Toad, I'm thinking maybe we do Kiln. Because the open beta, as far as I'm aware, goes until midnight. So, you know, if we have the chance to play it, I might as well play it. So that will be my first PC game in a long time. I think since I busted out Unfair Flips. Oh god. I don't even want to think about that one. But yeah, I think that's the plan for tonight. So with that, let me just boot up Captain Toad. Let's get that started. There we go. And I guess let's just get into things. So, for our 2 gaming news stories, I did want to talk about Pokémon Champions. Because Pokémon Champions did come out this week. I have not played it. I have not even booted it up. But I did want to talk about it, and, you know, the complications people are having. And then finally, I put Rhythm Heaven Groove on there. There were actually a lot of games that got, like, release dates announced this week. You know, stuff like Graveyard Keeper 2 got announced that it's coming out. And hey, you can go pick up Graveyard Keeper 1 for free. I have played Graveyard Keeper. It is a good game. It's a little... I don't want to say slow. Maybe... decompressed is the word I'm looking for. Like, everything in Graveyard Keeper takes a little longer than you think it should, but it's not a bad game at all. My problem, and the reason I didn't actually put that Graveyard Keeper 2 in the show notes,
is the company uses AI. I think the developer, I want to say they're called Lazy Bear, is an AI. They're big into AI. At least the owner of the studio is. So I was just like, I don't know, despite liking Graveyard Keeper, and yes, it is free, and yes, I do recommend it. And they say they're not going to be using AI on Graveyard Keeper 2. I guess they did use AI on Punch Club 2, which that fucking sucks. I don't know, that's just what I've heard. So, you know, do at your own risk. And I guess that's all I gotta say about that. But I did throw Rhythm Heaven Groove on there, because, yeah, I do want to talk about it. I gotta remind people about the oath. The oath is important, you know, I made a contract. I didn't even see myself fall off. I'm gonna hold up my end of the bargain. So, of course, I do have to talk about that. And that's it. Again, God's will it, this show this week is gonna be very short. It won't be. It inevitably will go way longer than I think it will. But, you know, there's a first time for everything. That's good. Alright, let's talk about Pokémon Champions. So, I should say... Oh. Fuck. Whatever. So, I will say, I did not play Pokémon Champions. I know it came out this week, I know it is free to play, but I have said on multiple occasions, I'm not actually a big Pokémon battling fan. I do not really care for Pokémon battles. It's, in recent years, it's just not what I find fun about Pokémon. I get why other people find it fun, and you know, if that's your thing, go off, you know, have all the fun in the world. But for me personally, I get my fun from collecting, from shiny hunting, which is crazy, because ask me a few years ago, and I would have said shiny hunting is the worst thing in the world. But no, ever since Scarlet and Violet, I have had my fun in Pokemon, catching them all and shiny hunting. So battling doesn't really do it for me. Like, yeah, I do it in the game, but it's not something I, like, actively go out of my way to do. So, as a result, Pokémon Champions just doesn't really appeal to me. It also, I think, has some of the worst aspects of gaming in it, that being monetization. Things like, you know, season passes and microtransactions. Admittedly, I'm not entirely sure how bad the monetization stuff is in Pokemon Champions. It may not actually be that bad, because at some point I will check it out. Just not right now. But I don't like that stuff in my games. You know, the reason I primarily play Nintendo games is because they don't do microtransactions. They don't do loot boxes. They don't, you know, lock customization behind extra purchases and different editions of their game. What you see is what you get. Occasionally they'll do a DLC, but honestly, with the exception of like Smash Bros, all their DLC is fairly reasonable. So, the worst monetization that Nintendo usually has is either their mobile games or Pokemon. And the mainline Pokemon games usually aren't that bad. Like, have none of that. Outside of, you know, some DLC. So, Pokemon Champions just isn't for me. I mean, again, I do plan on, at some point, checking it out. Just not right now. But, you know, it launched, and a lot of people have been very mad at it. They've been very mad at, you know, the Pokemon Company, but also Ilka, who is the developer, who, if you do not know, they're the ones who did the Diamond and Pearl remakes a few years ago that people really fucking hated. Even though I will stand by, every problem in those games is present in the original Diamond and Pearl, and they even, in my opinion, fixed some of the issues with the original Diamond and Pearl. Just, they didn't also make all the fixes Platinum did. Like, I will stand by. If they had just remade Pokemon Platinum and then made all the other changes they did, people would love that remake. A Platinum remake that made all the changes it did, yeah, people would love that game. But no, because they just did Diamond and Pearl, didn't fix some of the issues, but didn't fix the Platinum issues, it was a flawed game. It's when being too faithful of a remake comes back to bite you in the ass. And that's exactly what it did. It was too faithful of a remake and it bit them in the ass. Not that I hated it or anything, but it was weak. And so now people are mad at them because they're the ones doing Pokémon Champions. So, there's been most of the issues are like bugs. You know, there are certain moves that, like, don't even work. Which one was it? Was it Leech Life or Leech Seed? Leech Seed. Maybe it has an incorrect description. So there was, an incorrect description for Leech Seed. There was an incorrect Mega Evolution order. Where, like, if both Mega Pokemon Mega Evolve on the same time, that caused some sort of issue. There was an incorrect Pokemon gender in certain cases. Specifically, in the tutorial of the game, there's a Gallade. Now, if you know anything about the Pokemon Gallade, it can only be male. There can be female and male Gardevoirs, but there can only be male Gallades. And yet, for some reason, in the tutorial, there's a female Gallade. So a lot of people have dubbed them Trans Gallade, and yeah, it looks like Game Freak's gonna go in and change that. There's an issue with Lightning Rod. The ability doesn't work correctly in Encore. An inability to select certain moves in the game. There with gender. When viewing details during battle, for the cursor over Mega Evolution, press B. The move cannot be selected. If a communication error occurs when sending a Pokemon on an expedition from Pokemon Home. So, like, that's the big one for me. So, this game promised, like, hey, you can send Pokemon from Pokemon Home over to Champions. And that seemed very promising. Like, yeah, the Pokemon we've been using for years now, you can now easily bring over to these new games. But people have found out that I guess there's an error code that can occur. And if that error code does occur, it'll send the Pokemon back to Pokemon Home. But you can no longer transfer them over to Champions. And not only that, you also can't transfer them back to Scarlet and Violet. So, like, somebody been like, oh yeah, this is my... I don't know, I'm just gonna pick somebody. Torterra. This is the Torterra I don't even know if Torterra's in Champions. But, this is the same Torterra I've been using since the original Diamond and Pearl came out. I transfer them over to Pokemon Champions, get the error. Now, I can never use them again. They've basically, the entire Pokemon has become soft-locked. And that fucking sucks. Like, that's an awful bug to launch with. And yes, the Pokemon Company is aware of it. They're working on it. There's a bunch of other... they've already fixed some of the bugs. They've already, tried working on some of the errors. When using a status move such as Haze or Sunny Day, HP may not be displayed correctly. Pokemon with the ability Sheer Force Encore uses Dragon Dance. Its attack and speed will not increase. So yeah, they've already fixed some, but they're like that Lightning Rod one I mentioned earlier. But they've got others that they know and they are working on. But yeah, a lot of people have, already been like, yeah, this mess is so buggy, it's so broken. Of course, those aren't the only issues people have with this game, obviously. A lot of people are disappointed with the amount of Pokemon. There's only... Let me see if I can find it on Cerebi. How many Pokemon are in Champions? That doesn't help. Pokemon Champions Pokedex. Is there just a way where I can, like, see them all? I can see by type, by stat. I can see a list of natures. You know, I like Cerebi. I really do. And it's my primary source for everything. But when sometimes you just want a list or numbers, it is inconvenient. Like, when it comes to seeing the whole picture, it does make things harder. For other stuff, no. For other stuff, like for individual stuff on individual Pokemon, I think it's great. But just to know, like, how many Pokemon are in Champions. Yeah, this does not help me at all. So I have no idea. I just know however many Pokemon are in Pokemon Champions, it is less than the amount of Pokemon present in Pokemon Stadium 2. There are more Pokemon in Pokemon Stadium 2 than there are Pokemon Champions. And that sucks. That's bad. There's also a bunch of missing items that I guess on like the store where it says like, hey, buy items here, it shows a picture of a Rocky helmet. The Rocky helmet's not even in the game. The Assault Vest, I think, is another one that's not even in the game. There's Mega. You know, they have a bunch of Megas. They are missing a bunch of Megas. I know, you know, my favorite Mega, Mega Sceptile, isn't in Pokemon Champions. So, people have been disappointed with all these things. The comparison I've seen that I think makes the most sense is that, well, yes, the game is unfinished. It's more, it feels like a beta. So this isn't like an unfinished game. This is just a beta test. That, you know, did they rush out? I mean, potentially. Because do they want to make this the official competitive game before Pokemon Worlds in what, June? I don't remember when Pokemon Worlds is. It's coming up. Yes, I do think that makes sense, that they want this to be the official game before Pokemon Worlds, and so they have to release it now before Worlds happens. But, yeah, this does kind of feel like, hey, you know, maybe we should stay in Scarlet and Violet for at least a little longer, just because this isn't ready yet. And that we're all just kind of beta testers, testing out their new game. That clearly just needs a little bit more time and a little bit more support. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I feel like that's a very good way to describe thing. Because, like, clearly, like, the fact that the Rocky helmet is on the shop tells that, yes, it is coming. It's just not coming right now. Or same thing with, like, a bunch of missing Pokemon. Like, yeah, they'll be there, just not yet. What this game really needs is a roadmap. Just a list of things that's like, hey, here's what we're going to be doing in the future. Like, right now, we have no idea when updates are coming. We have no idea what they're going to be adding. Most other games have a roadmap. Now, admittedly, video games are very bad with roadmaps, and that, you know, if the developers don't finish off their roadmap or don't get it done in the appropriate time because of mismanagement or overambition or god, any number of things, that causes issues. But I would like to give a little faith to the Pokemon Company. They definitely haven't fucking earned it. But, you know, just give us a roadmap that's like, hey, you know, over the next 6 months to a year, we're gonna add a new Pokemon to the game every week. So every week, we're going to add one new Pokemon. Obviously, the regulations will change as time goes on. Certain Pokemon will be legal, certain Pokemon will be illegal. Because so far, the explanation the Pokemon Company has given is that, oh, they wanted to shake things up competitively. The reason why certain Pokemon and certain items aren't available is because we want the game to be more interesting. Which, okay, that may be true. But if you're like, hey, we're going to add a new Pokemon every week, that would go a long way. Because, like, yes, and they don't even need to add a new Pokemon every week, because there is I mean, obviously they can start doing, like, pre-evolutions. Because I don't think they need every Pokemon, but every fully evolved Pokemon, maybe a few Pokemon that use Eviolite as, like, one of their main things. That, like, Porygon 2, for example. Like, having Porygon Z and Porygon 2 in there with Eviolite, that'd be nice, you know, stuff like that. They don't need everything, but just having some sort of roadmap. As far as I know, they've said they're doing terrestrialization and presumably Z-moves and Gigantamaxing. Like, eventually all that stuff is going to come to the game, theoretically, as far as I'm aware. So, you know, having a roadmap being like, hey, in 6 months' time, terrestrialization will come to the game. Right now, we're just doing Mega Evolution. We're going to get every Mega Evolution Pokemon in there, and then we'll start worrying about a different gimmick. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then obviously, like, oh, you know, the first season with terrestrialization will be terrestrialization only. And then the next season will have terrestrialization and Mega Evolution. And, you know, so on and so forth, however they want to do it. I feel like that's all fine. It's just, right now, we have no clear indicator. Nintendo is not a roadmap company, but to be fair, Nintendo's only other live service is Splatoon. And Splatoon only kind of barely fits the definition of a live service. As per, they update the game for 2 years with new content and new features, and then they move on to, you know, developing the next game. It's a live service in the same way like your annual Call of Duty is a live service. Whereas Pokémon Champions feels much more, oh, we're going to try to do Fortnite or Roblox, I guess. I don't know. I don't know any live service games. I don't play live services. Because those games fucking suck most of the time. I guarantee you the extra missions on this level is to kill all the Goombas. But yeah, I feel like just having a roadmap that tells players, like, hey, here's what's coming, here's the scale to expect, just something would go a long way. And that hopefully they figure that out sooner rather than later. But for the moment, no. Everyone's mad at Pokémon Champions. I really hope the one big thing is that Mega Evolution, is that Pokemon Home glitch, I mean. You know, new stuff can be added. That's, you know, them adding new Pokemon, new items, all that stuff can be fixed in time. But the Pokemon being corrupted when they are sent over, that's something they need to get on, like, fucking immediately. Because home compatibility is one of the big selling points of the game. However, with all that being said, with all the issues I've talked about, I have heard from multiple people that despite all those problems, the game is still very fun. Especially for people who, like, don't normally play competitive Pokemon. Like, yeah, they'll play a Pokemon, like, they played Scarlet and Violet, they played Sword and Shield, but that's, like, it. They just played the games to play the games. From those people, I have heard that Pokémon Champions is a lot of fun. That, you know, this whole, like, mechanic on how you get Pokemon, where you, like, recruit them at a ranch actually works decently well, and you can actually get shinies from it, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I've heard good things. I've heard people are having fun. But if you're, like, a diehard competitive, you know, someone who is expecting the game at the next Pokemon Worlds, you are sorely disappointed. But everyone else seems to be having a good time. So, I mean, I guess it's working on that front, which, to be fair, that front is the general audience. But this game clearly also wants to be much more than that. And so far, it is failing. I'm out of water. Shit. I actually do have a soda, but I was saving it for later. I mean, not that much later, let's be honest here.
Alright, let's talk about our next story, Rhythm Heaven Groove. So, I had earlier in the month predicted that we were going to get a Nintendo Direct. That didn't happen so far, and I don't think it's going to. That clearly one of the byproducts of Nintendo launching Nintendo Today is that, at least for the moment, Nintendo sees less value in Nintendo Directs and are more willing to just be like, oh, well, we don't need a Nintendo Direct to, give these smaller stories. Let's just put everything on Nintendo Today. Every night we'll just put a little story about something relevant and just call it there instead of doing a Direct. The thing is, people like the Direct format. I think it's just, we learned this from E3. I am not the biggest fan of E3. I know some people really like E3. E3 had plenty of issues. And with the death of E3, I was kind of like, it wasn't that big of a loss. The biggest loss from E3 was that it was actually really nice to have everything happening at the same time. Knowing that basically for 5 days in June, all the important gaming information is going to be right there in those 5 days. Whereas nowadays, we still get that same information. It just happens over the course of a month. Jeff Keighley does his show on the 10th. Xbox does their show on the 11th or the 12th. PlayStation does a show on the 20th. And then Nintendo does a show on the 27th or the 28th. That's how things have changed. We're still getting the same information. It's just whereas it used to be, we'd get that new information over the course of just a few days, now we're getting it over the course of a month. And so that's the issue, and I get that. And to that end, Nintendo definitely feels like it's less necessary to do showcases, because they can just put stuff on Nintendo Today. I do not think it's the end of the world like other people do. I'm okay with not having a Direct, especially because they don't always have a major story to talk about. Just doing a Direct for, hey, new Rhythm Heaven release date, new Splatoon Raiders information, stuff like that isn't actually that big. So, I get it. I do get it. But also, I do like the Direct format. It's fun, it's interesting, and it is going to be missed at the end of the day. Not that it's gone forever. Again, we'll probably get something in June, we'll probably get something in September. But that early January, February, even kind of March Direct, probably aren't getting any more. Just by, the nature of things. It's clear that at the start of the year, when Nintendo doesn't have anything major to reveal, they're just gonna wait. Which sucks, but I get it. So with that being said, through the past few weeks, we've been getting, small Nintendo things. We got a Mario Kart World update. We got, some virtual console, Nintendo Online stuff. That doesn't really matter. We got a few other things, but the big one, at least this week, was Rhythm Heaven Groove, a game people have been waiting to hear about, because it was announced over a year ago. I want to say it was announced the last week of March in 2025. Here we are a full year later in 2026. And finally, we got a little video on Nintendo Today, shows us a little bit of gameplay on one of the mini games, and then it gives us a release date. And the release date is July 2nd. Honestly, not a bad release date. That's kind of what I had been expecting. It was either going to be June, July, or August. Because clearly this isn't a big thing, and I had said multiple times that Nintendo kind of has a gap in their schedule. That after May, we don't know anything that's coming from Nintendo. We have we know Tomodachi Life is less than a week away. It's 5 days. And then we have Yoshi and the Mysterious Book in May, and that's it.
Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, Rhythm Heaven Groove, Splatoon Raiders, no release dates or anything. So now we have Rhythm Heaven's release date. And yeah, July makes sense early on in the month, which I actually do like that it's early in the month. Because I feel like they've been sticking everything in the middle sort of recently, so getting something early is nice. And I guarantee within this next week, we will have Tomodachi's release date. Or not Tomodachi, Splatoon Raiders. Sometime, on Nintendo Today, sometime in the next week, they're going to be like, hey, guess what? Splatoon Raiders will be coming out... I'm just going to say June. It's probably going to be August or September, but let's just say June. It's coming out, June 16th or whatever that Thursday is. I can see that. I think that's admittedly a little, too close between release date and launch. But, you never know. And then there's a rumor that we're going to get a Star Fox game announced, and that it's going to come out in the summer. I could see that happening as well. That, hey, guess what? We're getting settled for the night. Hey, new update on Nintendo Today. Actually, it's usually early in the morning. They do updates at night, like game updates, and they do new reveals in the morning. So, one day we're going to wake up, and it'll be like, hey, here's the new Star Fox game. Star Fox, The Lilat Wars. And it comes out in August, or whenever. So yeah, that's probably going to happen at some point. I don't know about Ocarina of Time. I know, there's the rumor of Ocarina of Time. That, they could save that till June. There was actually a story going around this week that Nintendo has been putting out fake news stories, fake information to certain people to try to figure out who the leaker is, because they're fed up with Nate the Hate. Like, Kit and Krista fully were saying, yeah, if all this stuff is real, then Nintendo is seething that it got leaked. And yeah, I get that. And so, putting out fake information is a very common tactic. You tell multiple people multiple stories, and whichever one gets revealed, well, that's your leaker. Where did I see that recently? I saw that in something recently, where they do that exact tactic, and that's how they figure out... Was it one of the... It must have been one of the books I was reading. I couldn't tell you which book, but it was definitely one of the books I was reading. Maybe it was Hinch? I don't know, was there a trader in Hinch? I don't actually think there was. Whatever. But yeah, July 2nd for Rhythm Heaven Groove. That's good. We also got the price of the game. $40. That's not bad. Honestly, I was kind of expecting it to be $40 anyways. But yeah, the official thing, $40. Yeah, I'm gonna pay $40 for that. That sounds pretty alright to me. It is probably the last Switch 1 game, but that's okay. I could see one more, but it's probably the last one. I will just have to wait and see. And then, of course, we also did get a new look at the gameplay. So it was this cooking mini game, not mini game, but rhythm game. It's called Slice and Dice, or Groove and Slice, Slice and Groove. It was something like that. I don't know, I'm pulling up Nintendo Today to see if I can look back at it. Oh yeah, there's a Splatfest going on right now. I kind of completely forgot about that. Let's see, it was called... Oh, they don't even say on the Nintendo Today thing. Whatever, we got a new look at the gameplay. I think it looks fine. Someone did point out that when we got the original trailer for the game a year ago, this gameplay, this little rhythm game, was in the trailer, but it looked completely different. That they've basically redone the art for this game to make it look more like a Rhythm Heaven game. They added, stronger black outlines to it, which is more on par with the Rhythm Heaven art style. And yeah, you can definitely see the difference, but I don't think it's a bad change at all. Yeah, There's a part of me that kind of preferred the old one. I think the old one looked nice, but I think that's, you know, I see this new one looks more like Rhythm Heaven. When I picture Rhythm Heaven, this new one is more what it looks like, what I imagine. So now, I want to be clear with something. I have never played a Rhythm Heaven game before. I've watched speedruns, you know. I think of Rhythm Heaven, not Fever, whatever the Wii one was. Rhythm Heaven... Oh, I guess the Wii one was Fever. I never played Rhythm Heaven Fever. I never played Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix, was I think the 3DS one, or any of the other ones. Because I lost my sense of rhythm when it was stolen by a trombone wizard. So I do not have a sense of rhythm. And as a result, normally, I would never pick up a Rhythm Heaven game. I just, you know, I don't have that dog in me, as they say. But many, many years ago, I'm talking like, God, before COVID, like 2020, 2019, a long time ago, I made a deal that if they ever made another Rhythm Heaven, I would buy it. As long as when they eventually also made another Pikmin, people who liked Rhythm Heaven would buy that. You know, it's the deal. It's the alliance. It's a quid pro quo. Just like, hey, in order for my game to succeed, you will help me to make sure, right, my game succeeds, and I will help make sure your game succeeds. We went quid pro quo, we formed a council, and so far, I have tried to keep up my end of the bargain. Because we did get Pikmin 4. And Pikmin 4 sold pretty well. So obviously, you know, I've held up my end of the bargain. You know, other people held up their end of the bargain. So I try to hold up mine. So another, you know, there are multiple games in the Alliance. Advanced Wars. Advanced Wars was also in the Alliance. So when the Advanced Wars 1+2 came out, I bought it. Because I wanted to support the Alliance. And Advanced Wars is fucking cursed, and they need all the help they can get. Rhythm Heaven, same thing. You know, some of the games have sold okay. I at least like 1 million copies, I think. God, I hope. But I made a deal that, yeah, when the next Rhythm Heaven game comes out, I will buy it as part of the Alliance. And guess what? My Pikmin did well, so even though I do not have a sense of rhythm, I will be buying this game anyways to support the Alliance. Other games in the Alliance, technically both Star Fox and F-Zero are in the Alliance, but there hasn't been an F-Zero... Okay, kind of. There hasn't been a... Let's put it like this. There hasn't been a purchasable F-Zero game in like 20 plus years. And yeah, yes, I did play F-Zero 99. It was okay, but it's not gonna like save the franchise or anything, sadly. At least not yet. The next one though, the next like actual full release, even if it's just a remake, I will 100% be there. Another game is Golden Sun. If they ever decide to make another Golden Sun, I will be there. If they ever make another Star Fox game, which it looks like they are, I will be there. You know, other people held up their part of the bargain. I'm gonna hold up mine. It's just a question of will some of those other people ever get games again. Tomodachi Life is not part of that bargain. Because Tomodachi Life on 3DS is in the top 10 like best-selling 3DS games. Okay, it might be number 11. But still, it's not part of the Alliance. I'll be buying that because I'm a fan. I'm also kind of a fan of Star Fox, just not as big of a fan as other people are. But I'm not an F-Zero fan, I'm not an Advanced Wars fan, and yet I'll pick them up anyways. I'm sure there is other stuff that counts. Like, I feel like Earthbound would also count, but I feel like Earthbound is going to be fine if they ever decide to make another one. But I give at least some of the credit to Undertale people for that. Even though, will Undertale fans actually buy the fucking game? Who knows? You know, we live in a post-media landscape, so you never know. But yes, Rhythm Heaven fans, I will be there for you. I will buy your game. I hope I have fun. God, I hope I have fun. That's all I can ask. Because I'm worried. Not having a sense of rhythm, ooh, that's bad. And it's not that, like, when I say I don't have, you know, when I had my rhythm stolen by a trombone wizard, that doesn't mean I, like, don't like music or anything like that. It just means I'm bad at rhythm games. And I can't play an instrument. That's really it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I guess those are my 2 news stories. Again, not much this week. There really isn't, but I wanted to talk about it anyways. Alright, let's talk about WIBE. Like I said, I got 2 sort of food things. One is an actual food thing. The other one is a massive fucking disappointment. We'll do the disappointment first. We gotta talk about the video game Kiln, which is the new game from Double Fine Productions, and I am very excited to talk about that. We might, again, depending on how long this goes, we might even play some of it in a bit. We got Invincible, had their new episode, which I do want to talk about, obviously. And then finally, Malcolm in the Middle. The Malcolm in the Middle reboot miniseries came out yesterday? Yeah, I think it was yesterday. And I did watch it. It's pretty short. It's basically a mini movie. Not a mini movie. It's a mini series that is basically as long as a movie. You can watch. I honestly do recommend just watching it in one sitting. But so we'll talk about that because I was a fan of the original show and I liked it. I liked the reboot, and I hope we get more. We'll see, obviously, but I wouldn't be disappointed if we do. So yeah. With that, our first story, Domino's. So, Domino's, I feel like I say this every time. Back in the day, Domino's sucked. I think we all kind of can admit this. You know, even, I want to say the CEO at the time eventually did come out and was like, yes, we're aware Domino's sucks. We're going to try to make it better. And that's what they did. And for a while, Domino's was like some of the best pizza you could get. I will fully agree that Domino's of like that era was really good. But around the time COVID hit, they got, at least in my opinion, every fast food place suffered from COVID. Prices went up, quality went down, and they never really recovered. Like even one of my favorite places of all time, like Whataburger, they fell apart, and they just never got better. And they still kind of suck to this day. I mean, it's not terrible. Like, I'll still have them. It's just, it used to be so good. And now it just isn't. Domino's is the same thing. I used to really like Domino's. Like, they were my go-to. And now, I just can't be bothered anymore. They just don't do it for me. But, this week, Domino's announced they're doing a new sauce. A sliced sauce. It's supposed to be like a creamy, garlicky sauce that, you know, it's supposed to be different than like a typical like garlic or a marinara. It's specifically a sauce designed for pizza slices. And I was like, you know what? That actually sounds like a good thing. I will stand by. A sauce is very important to a restaurant. In any restaurant. You know, Raising Cane's is not a chicken restaurant with a good sauce. They are a sauce restaurant that serves chicken to go along with that sauce. That's what Raising Cane's is. When KFC spun themselves off, you know, the same way like McDonald's and Taco Bell did, they called their spin-off Saucy because they know how important sauce is. A good sauce goes a long way, and I feel like people are very reticent to admit that. A good sauce is very important. Like, I'll give you another Wendy's. Wendy's, you know, when they did tenders, they revamped their sauce menu, and they got rid of their sweet and sour sauce, and replaced it with a sweet chili, and the sweet chili just isn't as good. And as a result, I've only gotten nuggets from them like once since then. Because I don't like the sweet chili sauce. What can I say? So, with that being said, I went to... So, this new slice sauce came out on like Monday or Tuesday. I don't remember. It was sometime earlier this week. And I was like, obviously I'm going to go try it. I got off work and was like, yeah, let's go to Domino's. Let's get a pizza. Let's get some of those little cinnamon bites. You know, this will be good. I get there. Oh, yeah, we're sold out of sliced sauce. It came out today. It hasn't... You guys haven't even been open for like 12 hours yet. What the fuck do you mean it's already sold out? So, yeah, I didn't get to try the new sliced sauce. I've heard it's good. Nothing like amazing. But I've heard it's good. And I am kind of disappointed that I didn't get to try it. But I fucking tried. I considered going, because there's a Domino's not too far from where I live. And there's one a little farther in like the opposite direction. And I was like, do I want to go to the other one just to try? Nah, this is Domino's we're talking about. I'm not that invested. So I did not try it. I did not get to try the sliced sauce. I definitely thought about it though. Instead, I will give it the employee, you know, I ordered like, I think 3 of them. Which, yes, is that probably part of the reason why they ran out? Yeah, sure, totally. I ordered 3 and the employee was like, yeah, we're all out. And instead gave me 1 of every one of the sauces. Which is nice. But also, what the fuck am I gonna do with a buffalo sauce? What am I gonna do with a habanero mango chili sauce from Domino's on a pepperoni pizza? Like, what the fuck am I gonna do with that? So I have no idea. Also, I tried their ranch. I'd had their garlic sauce is okay. Marinara, it's standard marinara, whatever. I had not had their ranch before. I did not like their ranch. That was not that good. So, I was not very impressed with that. But yeah, I did not get to try the sliced sauce. I don't know if I ever will, because, you know, if they keep selling out, I don't know when the next time I will have Domino's is. Because it was one of those things where, like, once I went to try it, I was like, oh shit, why did I even come here then? If you're all sold out of the sliced sauce, why did I even come to Domino's? Like, I know that's a pessimistic way of looking at things, but that is kind of how I feel about Domino's nowadays. Would the sliced sauce have completely changed my mind on Domino's? Probably not. I mean, anything's possible. But now it was definitely like oh God, why did I do this? And then the worst part is, right, I mentioned he gave me 1 of each of the sauces. The one he did not give me is I got those little cinnamon bites. Pretty good. I still do like those cinnamon bites. He did not, however, give me a little thing of icing to go with them. So I had to eat those fuckers raw. Or, you know, sauceless. They're still good. It's just, they're lacking a little something something. And yeah, that's that. It was Domino's. Like I said, I wanted to like it. I've heard good things. If you get a chance to try it. It's just, I didn't. I feel like I need a sauce shit list. Just a list of restaurants that have fucked up their sauces. Wendy's, KFC, Domino's, fourth example. Because again, sauce is so important. But that's just me. Alright, let's talk about our next thing. So Mountain Dew, for like a year now, has been talking about doing a dirty Mountain Dew.
which, if you don't know, right, there was a big trend in these past few years, started with the Mormons, of doing dirty soda, which is you take a soda, you put a non-dairy creamer, that's the important part, non-dairy, a non-dairy creamer, I think it's usually coconut and lime. And that's like very, that's a dirty soda. We've talked about dirty sodas in the past on this podcast. I think specifically Sonic Burger has done a lot of work on dirty sodas, and those are okay. I've had a dirty Fanta, a dirty Dr. Pepper. Those have been pretty decent. I do like it. So when I heard Mountain Dew was trying one, and I had Taco Bell. Taco Bell has also done a dirty Baja Blast. And I was like, yeah, I like that. So when I heard Dirty Mountain Dew, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Them selling it themselves. Coke did a cherry cream soda one. That I like that cherry cream soda Coke. So, like, if it's something like that, I was like, oh, this is going to be good. So, I've got one right here. I bought a 12-pack of cans. I went to Walmart, found a 12-pack, no issue. They had plenty of them. I have already had this, I will say. This is not my first time having this. I have had it before. And so, the smell... It smells creamy, vanilla-y. If you've ever had a cream soda, which I do like cream soda... It smells like that. It's got that cream soda smell. I do smell a little bit of like the lime smell that a regular Mountain Dew has, but I would say the cream soda smells a lot stronger. All right, let me take a drink. It just reminds me of a cream soda. Like, if you told me, hey, Mountain Dew's making a cream soda, it would taste just like this. I've seen some people compare it to a key lime pie. I don't really taste key lime pie in this. I mean, I guess there's a little bit, it does have a little bit of that lime flavor, but it's not that strong. I would just say, yeah, this is Mountain Dew's take on a cream soda. So, based on what I've seen online, reactions to this are mixed. And I mean, literally on the can, it says Dirty Mountain Dew, Cream Soda Dew. So I would say this is less of, like other cream sodas, where it's like pouring a non-dairy cream into a soda. Like, this isn't just normal Mountain Dew with a cream soda flavor poured into it. No, this is specifically Mountain Dew's take on a cream soda. I know that's not much of a distinction, but it's an important one. And as Mountain Dew's take on a cream soda, as someone who does enjoy a good cream soda, but doesn't get them that often, I actually really enjoy this. I think this is actually really good. This is one of the better Mountain Dew flavors. I don't want to say it's the best Mountain Dew flavor. I'm still very much a Baja Blast kind of guy. I like Baja Punch. Baja Punch, which is their take on like a fruit punch or a tiki punch, is also really good. But this might be like a solid third for me. I think I do actually really like this. And would probably recommend it. As Mountain Dews go, this is probably one of the better ones. So I will give them full marks for that. Yeah, it just tastes like a cream soda to me. I mean, obviously it is, still Mountain Dew flavored. Like, it's not one for one. But yeah, I think it's not creamy, lemon lime Baja Blast. Or creamy, it's not just Mountain Dew with a non-dairy cream poured into it. This is like its own unique thing. And as own unique things go, I think this is pretty good on that end. Yeah, I would definitely... I mean, I bought a 12-pack of this. Me and my roommates have almost gone through the 12-pack. I'm gonna guess after this one, there's only like 1 or 2 left. We have gone through this thing. And for good reasons. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I don't know if this is going to become a permanent thing, if this, you know, maybe if it sells well, but if this became a permanent thing, I would be fine with that. I really should go get, like, a normal Mountain Dew and find some non-dairy cream to pour into it and see how that compares. It's gonna obviously be different, but I'm assuming that's what people wanted, and I'm kind of glad it's not that. I don't know. I know that one Mormon soda place, we don't have those here, so I've actually never had that. I don't even remember. What are they called? I could probably just Google Mormon soda place and find it. Is it like Floats or something? We have the Mormon cookie place here. And I'm one of the few people who likes that. I know a lot of influencers don't like the Mormon cookie place. I think they're okay, but that's mainly because I like that type of cookie. Mormon soda place. Swig. That's the name of it. Swig. Wait, do we have a Swig here? No, we don't. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say, I don't think they put one here. I feel like I would know that. Yeah, this is a 12-ounce can. I'm almost completely gone through with it. This is good. I do like this a lot. Yeah, that's good stuff. Ugh, I do need more water, though. How many more levels do we have left? I think it's only like 2 or 3 more. Okay, I think we got, yeah, like 3 more. Alright, I guess we'll talk about Kiln. We'll beat these last few levels, and then we'll actually boot up the game and play it. So, if you do not know what Kiln is, back in, I want to say it was January, it might have been February, but I think it was January. Xbox did their first developer direct of 2026. And in that developer direct, they went in being like, hey, we've got 3 games to show off. Beast of Reincarnation, Fable, and Forza 6. And they showed off those 3 games, and people really liked it. But then, of course, they were like, hey, guess what? We've got a secret 4th game to show off. And that 4th game was Kiln. So Kiln originally started as an Amnesia Fortnite. If you don't know what that is, which I don't blame you, an Amnesia Fortnite is basically Double Fine's version of a game jam. And so this game started off as a sort of game jam for the developers at Double Fine, where they threw this game together in just 2 weeks. And then since then, you know, they liked the prototype, they liked the concepts, so they decided to make it into a full game. And that's the game that's coming out here on, I want to say the 23rd? I don't have it written in my notes, but I think it's the 23rd. And so it is a multiplayer, it's an online multiplayer game. So obviously the developers wanted to do some beta testing. And the beta test went out on Steam this week. So from the 9th to the 11th, which is currently when I'm recording this, they started the beta test. I'm pretty sure it goes for like another like hour and a half. I'm pretty sure it ends at midnight. It might go for another like 2.5 hours because time zones. Or it might potentially end in like 30 minutes. I don't know. It might have already ended as far as I'm aware. But from what I can tell, yes, they did the beta test this week, and then the game comes out in like 2 weeks. And because the game made a positive impression on me, I was like, yeah, I'm going to check it out. Yeah, I'm going to join the open beta. Sure, why not? That sounds like fun. So that's exactly what I did. So when I first saw Kiln, and we actually did, I live reacted to that direct, I compared it to Splatoon. Or, you know, something like Foam Stars. Or, God, what was that other one? Ninjala? It's a 4-player multiplayer game that's quirky. Now, usually 4-player multiplayer games that are quirky are kind of doomed to fail, that, you know, people play them for a few weeks, but then they eventually grow bored and move on to the next thing, right? Ninjala, I'm pretty sure, is dead. Foam Stars is dead, as far as I'm aware. The other ones that I can't even think of right now, I can't think of because they're all dead. Most games like this don't last. And Splatoon is like barely the exception. I think Splatoon survives because it's got single-player content. It is a single-player game first that also has a big online community. It's huge in Japan. You know, if Splatoon wasn't made by Nintendo, it would not be as big. You know, it would not be as big as it is. I have the same worry for Kiln. That, you know, it is made by Double Fine. It is done by Xbox. People are going to play it for 2 weeks, though, and then they're going to move on. It is not a free game. It does cost, I think, there's a standard edition for $20, and then there's like a premium edition for $30. But as far as I'm aware, it will not have microtransactions. It will not have loot boxes. It has a traditional level up system. You get cosmetics as you level up that, you know, allow you to customize your pod, your character. That's great. I feel like part of the reason why so many of these games are doomed to fail is because they're freemium. You know, they come out, people put a little bit of time into them, but then they will inevitably just go back to Fortnite. Whereas something like Kiln, you don't need to worry about in Splatoon, because all like the cosmetic microtransactions that other games have, this game doesn't have. This game just puts everything into the actual game, and as you level up, you just unlock everything. And I feel like when you do that, when people actually earn rewards for playing your game, people are more likely to continue playing your game. Fall Guys. Fall Guys is another great example. Fall Guys, unless you were on PlayStation, you had to pay for that game, but and there were microtransactions in Fall Guys, but they didn't fucking matter. You did not have to spend any money in that game, and instead, the game rewarded you for doing good in beating the game. Because that's how you unlocked you unlocked cosmetics through crowns that you only got for winning rounds. It was a great system, until Epic Games bought them and ruined it. But before then, it was pretty great. And I really liked Fall Guys. I put a lot of time into that game, because it was fun. And it was rewarding, until Epic Games bought them. So yeah, Kiln, I hope it lasts longer than 2 weeks, but honestly, if I put $20 into it, and I have as much fun for like 2 weeks that I've had with the beta for, you know, just a few hours, then I think everything will be fine. I'll have felt like I got my money worth. It just will suck that I can't go back to it in the future. That'll suck, but other than that, you know, I've had a good time. So yeah, currently, having just played the beta for like a few hours, like 2 or 3 hours, I would recommend it. I've had a good time. We're gonna check, you know, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go pee, and we'll be right back, and I'm gonna boot the game up, and we're gonna check it out a little bit. I'll play a little bit. But yeah, it's a 4v4 multiplayer game where you play as pots. You're trying to extinguish the other player team's kiln. And that's it. It's super simple. There is a decent amount of, like, variation to it. Depending on the pot you build, you get a bunch of different special abilities. There are different sizes of pots that each have their pros and cons. More flexibility than I expected. And I do like that. I do think that's very interesting. But of course, we'll all check it out here in a minute. Because, yeah, there's episode 2. Like I said, it was short. Episode 2 takes no time at all. We unlocked episode 3. And we'll go do that here. We'll do that next week. Because episode 3 is, like,
longer than episodes 1 and 2 combined. All right, let me go pee real quick. I get some more water because I already finished the Mountain Dew. It was really good. And we will be right back. Alright. Here we are. I think everything's working fine. So we are playing on PC, which I will say, I have, I don't really do PC games on here because issues. I have a PC, it works fine, but it's not exactly a good gaming PC. It's kind of old, so it's not going to be perfect. The game, it's probably a my PC thing, but I have dealt with some lag. I think it's mostly a PC problem. If things get worse, I will turn on, I will lower the settings, but it's been a while. Also, us getting only 2 people is not great, but yeah, we'll figure it out. I will figure it out. So yeah, this is the game I was talking about. New game by Double Fine. So you have to make a pot. Or, and there are different varieties. I think there's like 5 or 6 different varieties, or 6 or 7, or 7 or 8. I don't know. We're going to use a cup. So this is my medium cup, but there's tons of other things. There's bottles, plates, jugs, vases, chalices, tons of other different cups that have different designs in different shapes. So we're going to obviously mess around with them. I'm going to turn up the volume a little bit. It's not a very loud game, I would say. And yeah, our goal here is, so we're playing as a cup. There's this big jug of water in the middle. We have to smash it open, get the water, and then bring it to the enemy's base to, splash out their kill. That's it. It's pretty simple. Of course, I'm going to guess those 3 people are just AIs. The fact that they all have, like, Play-Doh Impod, and they don't have an Xbox logo. Because while this is on Steam, this is also an Xbox game. It will come out on Xbox and PlayStation, not Switch. I wish this game was also coming to Switch, or specifically Switch 2. But it's not that big of a deal, I guess. But we'll make do with what we've got. We're obviously not starting off well here. Buttons are, you move, you jump, you attack with X, and then you've got the special, which the special is different depending on which weapon you use. So because we're using a cup, our special is a popcorn bucket. So, we hit the button, we fill up with popcorn, and we explode. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I've tried out tons of different shapes. The cup is currently my favorite. It's got, okay health. It's got good water, though. And I think that's important. At least that's what I value. If you fill up fully with, like, if you look at the water meter down there, there's a line. If you fill up above the line, you can, when you go over to their thing, you can do, like, a special move that does, like, extra damage. But we're probably not going to get anything done with 3 AIs, so yeah. Again, the beta ends in like an hour or 2. So hopefully, we find more people. But yeah, that's it. The game is super simple. I do not know if there are going to be other game modes or other things to do. And you have to... One of the things I do like about this game is that you have to actually, like, unlock stuff. This isn't like old, no microtransactions, no loot boxes yet. You have to unlock everything. So, you can level up. Currently, I'm like level 5, I think, 5 or 6. And so I just unlocked small cups. So I can, or a small, pot. So I can do a small cup, a small chalice. And then at level 10, you unlock big ones. I would guess the competitive balance is you want 1 small, 1 large, and 2 mediums. But I'm sure any combination works. They all have their positives and negatives. And for shape, I know different shapes have different, like, speeds. They do different, they have different amounts of health, and they have different amounts of water. So it's basically the more water you have,
Okay, we're level 6. Almost level 7. Basically, the more water you have, the less health you have. So yeah, you can do more damage to the enemy team. But as a result, you yourself do less damage. Or, you know, you yourself have less health. We're a bowl now. You can, you know how like Splatoon, you can run in your ink? You can run on the side as a pot, but you can't attack, and some of your water sloshes out while you're doing this. It's not very much, but at least a little bit does. And of course, you get to customize your pot, how it looks. Maybe in a little bit we'll mess around and make a pot. I don't know, we'll see what time we have. Yeah, it's a super simple little game. You know, we're a medium. You can see that guy right there is a large. Tons of little different powers and different things to do. I think it's fun. I love the art style. You can see the woman over there. Her name is either Celadon or Caladon. I don't remember. I love her character design. I think she's great. The little, like, ghosts, the little, like, spirits we are very cute. The actual pot making system, because you have to, like, shape your pot. You can then decorate it with different glazes and different colors. That all looks very nice. Like, there's a lot of creativity here that I think really plays out. That's my, you can see my cup right there. There's that dog right there where it's a shop where you can buy stuff at. It all just, it works. It works really well. This game is very charming. Well, I compare it to Splatoon. Another good comparison I would make is Peak. Like, this is more, whereas Peak is like a friendly multiplayer, this is more competitive multiplayer, but I think it has similar enough vibes. And yeah, and look at that, we got a full lobby. This game is fun. It's just, you know, I always, you know, I'm a Nintendo guy, and this totally is Nintendo vibes from Xbox. And yeah, if the game's not fun, why play it? I think this game is really fun. Or at least I've been having a good time. So yeah. It is going to be nice, though, to play it on, like, PlayStation or Xbox next week. 2 weeks. And not have to... Hopefully, like, a lot of these, like, frame rate issues I'm having are just because I'm playing on an old PC and not, you know, a modern-day console. And that having a modern-day console will actually fix some of those issues. Of the 3 stages we have, there's the other one that you just saw, which is the dance floor. You have this one, which has, like, a mosh pit. And then there's, like, a war room where, like, both bases are on one side of the map. And you go to the other side, get the water, and then come back. This one, the mosh pit in the middle has the water in it. We got a double kill. Yeah, this, I would say this is maybe the most standard map. But it's also kind of my least favorite. Getting stuck in the mosh pit kind of sucks. Yeah, I like my little popcorn bucket here. Yeah, it's just fun. Though I do say the attacking is kind of weird because, like, you know, I'll hit my attack button and sometimes I'm hitting them back, sometimes I'm not. You can get stunned, like sometimes, you know, people will hit you and you get kind of stunned. So attacking works okay. Same thing with, like, throwing water in the kiln. Like, sometimes it works really well, but if you have, like, a full jar, there's, like, the circle you can stand on to do the super splash. If you're trying to do a normal splash while you're standing there, because maybe, you know, enemies are coming, it won't let you. It'll, like, start to try to super splash anyways. After you get killed, you know, you see we jump down there, so that way if any enemies are invading your base, you can, like, push them back. I know the meta is eventually going to be, hey, some pots are really strong, some pots are really weak. You know, I don't know, again, if the game is well designed, then a good team will have pots of all 3 sizes. But you know, it might just be, the meta might come out as like, hey, yeah, only big pots are good. Or, you know, small pots, you know, they hold less liquid, I see them as less useful.
But you never know. That, look at that. We just got Wombo Kong. That one, I don't even know what that is. It's a small one. Just fucking destroyed us. It feels pretty, you know, so far the balancing I though think is fine. I mean, we just won that so quickly. I see where the comeback comes from, especially like if they're at your base, you can just push them back. I have seen some games, you can see it right, the enemy, there was one person who didn't do any damage. I think part of the meta might be purely just playing defensive. That if you just play, like if you just have one person on your team playing defensive, that might work pretty well. I'm not entirely sure though. There's definitely still some experimenting that has to be done. But yeah, no, it's good. It's fun. So some things I will talk about is, so I'm playing with a controller. I'm using my Switch controller for this. And the weird thing is that using my Switch controller, this is an Xbox game. And as you know, or should know, the buttons on Xbox and Switch are switched. Right? Xbox switch the buttons, so where the A is on Xbox, the B is on Switch, and same thing with X and Y. There is no way to switch the buttons in this. You can change them to PlayStation buttons if you're using a PlayStation controller, which I guess I could use a DualShock, you know, there's nothing stopping me. But I'm using my Switch controller, and so as a result, when it says press X, I'm actually pressing Y. When it says press A to select, I'm actually hitting B. They do not have Switch controller options, and I don't even need Switch controller options. Just give me the option to swap A and B. That's it. If you just... That's a cup? That, like, martini glass is a cup? That's actually kind of cool.
That mosh pit is too deep for any bot to jump out of.
But yeah, just giving me the ability to swap A and B in the setting would basically give me Switch controls. So that's like the one change I would make on that front. Other than that, I think everything is pretty good. It works well. Again, part of it might just be that, like, it looks pretty laggy. I think that's more my PC than it is the actual game itself. For the most part, I think the game works fine. You know, it's actually more laggy right now than it normally is, but I'm pretty sure that's because I am streaming. At least, God, I hope it is. I might turn down the settings. I don't know, if it keeps staying bad. But yeah, so far, I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun with this game. I will, when it comes out, I am currently planning on buying it, as I'm having a good time. I am curious, though. You know, last week we had that story about the developers Landfall Games talking about, is their game a live service? And now, and you know, they said that no, while they were updating their game, they had no plans on making Peak a live service game. And I am kind of curious here. Is this just a game that's coming out, and once it's released, you know, maybe they'll do some balance patches, but that's it? Is this going to get, you know, a full year of development like Peak, or is this a live service thing? I hope it's not. My guess, because, you know, Peak was a game jam game. This was basically a game jam game. My hope is that no, at most they'll give us like a year of updates, you know, new cosmetics, new maps, stuff like that, and just call it a day. That's kind of my hope, you know, we get maybe a year of updates at most. But other than that, I don't know. As far as I know, there's not going to be a story, which is fine. I don't really need one. I do wonder if there are other game modes, because while we oh, God, that's bad. Oh my God. Okay, yeah, maybe I do need to turn down the settings. Because while we have our main game mode here, Quench, the fact that they keep referring to it as the main game mode makes me think that there are going to be other game modes as well. Oh, come on. Again, I think this is more a problem on my PC than it is the game lagging. looking over at the stream, it's a lot worse than it actually is on my screen. My screen does not look as bad as this. Oh, shit. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, do not get the wrong impression from this. This looks better on my screen than it does on stream. The stream is lagging a lot more than I think it should be. This is why I don't play PC games. This is exactly why I don't play PC games. Because, ew, that's bad. Come on. Gosh dang it. Oh, we traded though. Okay. Anything else I gotta say on this game? I don't know. I'm having fun, man. Lag aside, I'm having a good time. I think the game works. It's a good idea here. That, like, yeah, I'd understand how this wouldn't be the next Fortnite, but also, again, like Peak, I could see this being popular. I could see people having a lot of fun, and that's without even the whole create your own pot system, which I do recommend you look into, because there seems to be a lot of creativity, and people are going to do some crazy things. Yeah. I don't know. It's a little all over the place. Perform. Yeah. God. And see, you know, it's funny because, like, it's like, oh, I'd love to fix some of my PC issues. But I kind of can't, because I can't afford anything better. Like, that's the other problem, is I just can't afford anything better. Alright, currently I have everything on high, medium, low, or very low. Do I want to do... Oops, no. That's better. I wonder, is there like a motion blur? Meshes, textures, lighting, shadows, reflection. No, I don't. Because I think that I'm not good with some of these technical terms. I'm not good with motion blur. But let's try low. Maybe that'll work better.
You've got cash burning a hole in your pocket. Let's test out your new pots.
All right, let's try to get another game. Yeah. So far, I'm enjoying this. I'm gonna hopefully be playing more when the actual game releases. But we'll play a little bit more tonight. Look at that frog. See, there's some decent customization here. There is. People have been doing some good stuff. All right, let's talk Invincible. So where we left off with Invincible, Mark had killed Conquest, but he has organs pulled out. So in this one, we spend majority of this episode with Nolan and Oliver as they're waiting, you know, I think it's like 2 months for Mark to recover. You know, they have to go get him nutrients, and while they're originally giving him, like, I don't know, like bile or whatnot, eventually they're like, oh, we have to go get some eggs. Meanwhile, Oliver wants nothing to do with Nolan because of, you know, everything that's happened. There's a whole thing where Oliver actually overheard what Nolan told Debbie last episode, or 2 episodes. Yeah, I think it was last episode, where Nolan said, oh yeah, Andressa? Oliver's mom didn't matter. And Oliver overheard that, and he's like, no, that was just something I was telling Debbie to try to get her back. That's not true. Andressa, you know, helped me realize, like, part of the sanctity of life. You know, or helped me realize that people can be forgiven, that people can change. So this is them bonding a little bit. Which, this also does happen in the comics. but I think they give it more time in the show, because this is like Mark recovering while Nolan and Oliver, bond, is a thing in the comics. It's a single issue, but it goes by really quick. And in this, I feel like we got a little bit more time to breathe, which was definitely the right thing to do. The right way to do things. Giving us that little bit more time, leaning more into the personal issues, I did like. I do think that is important, and I do think it worked well. So the whole Nolan Oliver stuff works really well here. Meanwhile, we see Alan in Tech Jacket, and they meet back up with the rest of the Coalition. The war is actually going really well, right? We see the next 2 months of the war, as things are actually working out pretty well. The Coalition is, fighting back, and then once they liberate a planet, the people they liberate then join the Coalition. They turn on the Viltrumites. That's nice. That gets them, expanding their army. And then eventually Thrag comes in, and he launches this big all-out attack on whatever the Coalition of Planets head is. It's like Taraxia or something like that. So, talking about Conquest, I have seen some people rather disappointed with Conquest. That they don't like Conquest's voice. I think it's fine. Yes, it's not... I don't know what people expected, but I feel like, people are disappointed with Conquest's voice. I think he's fine. I think the problem is that he loses in this episode, and, a lot of people have had Conquest built up as, like, this big threat. So the fact that he just gets his ass kicked, his ship gets destroyed, and it's like, no, as he clutches after a skull. A lot of people are like, Conquest is like, I am Conquest. Or, not Conquest. A lot of people are disappointed with Thrag's voice. Was I saying Thrag? I don't know. People are disappointed with Thrag, and a lot of people act like it's like, I am Thrag, ruler of the Viltrumites. Feel me. Right, a lot of people are saying a lot of people are saying Thrag talks like that, and no, he doesn't. The voice is fine. He just, because he's losing in this episode, he doesn't really get much to do. He'll be much better next episode. Give Thrag another episode to actually do something, and I think things are going to be a lot better next week. At least, God, I hope they are. I think people are selling this a little bit short at the moment. I think things will all work out. At least, God, I hope they will. We're obviously going to have to wait and see a little bit. But I think things are going to be fine. At least, God, I hope they are. We're obviously just going to have to wait and see. But yeah, at the, Thrag, as he's losing, he eventually makes the decision to attack the Coalition homeworld. Him and basically the remaining 50-ish Viltrumites. There's a scene early on. I do love when, Nolan and Tech Jacket finally meet up with the Coalition, and how Space Racer comes in. That's so fucking cool. Space Racers, I think it's like the Infinity Gun or something, is really fucking cool. I really like that. That whole shot, as it goes through the guy and then through the planet, that all works really well. And then, eventually they figure out who the traitor is, that it's one of the guys working Thaddeus's door, and they, shoot a hole in his head, but he's still alive. And then he reveals the plan. So now with Mark and Alan and Oliver, or Nolan, with Mark, Nolan, and Oliver having showed up, now they're gonna go to Viltrum. They're gonna go straight to the planet, and we'll see how it all plays out next time. I know what's coming. I'm very excited. I know they save the animation for only the big episodes. I hope next episode is one of those big episodes. They got shit they gotta do.
And I really hope it pays off. Because if it does, that's going to be very exciting. Yeah, overall, I think it's a fine episode. You know, after, you know, two kind of whatever. After episodes 3 and 4 were kind of whatever. 5 and 6 really picking up the pace has been nice. And yeah, the next episode I think is also going to be good. And then we'll see what happens after that. I don't know, it's only a matter of time. You know, whatever. Let's use our little chalice. It can make a chicken. See? Chicken. It's like a turret. I also like how the small things can, like, squeeze into those holes. I really hope there's more than 3 maps. That there's, you know, so far these are the only 3 maps we've ever seen. I really hope that in the final game there are more than 3 maps. Not that... I actually do like this one. But I do hope there's more. Like, I hope there's more maps that play around with, like, the game's gimmicks. Alright, the final thing we gotta talk about is Malcolm in the Middle. So, for Malcolm in the Middle, the original show, I watched it... I don't remember if I watched it at the time or if I watched it, like, later on. Because I was definitely around when Malcolm in the Middle started. Like, this isn't like The Simpsons, where The Simpsons started before I was born. No, Malcolm in the Middle has been around my whole life. And overall, I do enjoy the show. I actually never really thought about it that... Like, I watched it, but I never really thought about the show until later on, you know, in the 2010s, you know. I mean, it was definitely sometime in the 2010s, you know. As Netflix came on the rise, Malcolm in the Middle was on Netflix. And so I really watched it a lot then. You know how a lot of people are like, oh, they only had Netflix for The Office. And that's kind of all they watched. One summer, Malcolm in the Middle was all I watched. It was just kind of like I was doing something I was like cleaning or something. And I was like, let me just put something on in the background. You know what, let's do Malcolm in the Middle. Oh, wait, this show is fucking hilarious. Okay. And so that summer, I was just obsessed with Malcolm in the Middle. And yeah, guess what? It's a really good show. It's really funny. It's really relatable. Yeah, I would totally recommend Malcolm in the Middle. I doubt it's on Netflix anymore. It's probably on, you know, Hulu or Disney or whatever. But at the time, that was when I saw it. And so yeah, since then, I've been very fond of the show. And then, of course, Breaking Bad happened, which I'd probably, before I got back into Malcolm in the Middle, I probably had seen Breaking Bad by that point. Because also, you know, my second favorite show of all time. So, it's great. Obviously, it's great. And they've been talking about doing a Malcolm in the Middle reboot for years now. And I was excited to see it again. To, you know, see this new thing. And so far... You know, we got our first 3 episodes. I think it's I don't want to say our first 4 episodes. But, you know, this isn't like a full-on reboot. As in, like, hey, you know, we're bringing back the show. Just, you know, like what they've done with a lot of other shows, you know. Like they did with Full House. Or other example... This isn't that. This is a mini-series, just 4 episodes, with all the characters we love, you know, paying tribute to the original show, also reminding us why we loved the show. And to that end, I think the show, this, you know, mini-series, very much succeeds. I think it does a great job of bringing back the characters we love, putting them in a good scenario, but reminding us why we love them and why we love the show and these actors, and I had a great time. if you liked the original Malcolm in the Middle, highly recommend this. If you didn't like the original show, you're not going to like this. If you only ever saw Breaking Bad and never saw Malcolm in the Middle, they're basically complete opposite shows, but I'd recommend Breaking Bad. But, I'd still recommend it. Spoiler alert, I was expecting there to be a Breaking Bad joke at some point in this. There's specifically something that happens in episode 3, where I was like, they're going to sneak a Breaking Bad joke into this somewheres, Walter White's going to show up. He doesn't. As far as I'm aware, there is no Breaking Bad joke. And I think that is for the best. I think it is good that there isn't a Breaking Bad reference in here. Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, everything I think is great. As far as I know, a majority of the cast returned. The only ones who didn't were Dewey, who we already knew, he had said, this has been in talks for 10 years now. We already knew Dewey wasn't coming back. Obviously, they got someone different to play Jamie, and I think that's it. As far as I'm aware, everyone else, who was in the original show, who obviously isn't dead, did return. And yeah, they all do a great job. Of course, Frankie Muniz as Malcolm is still fantastic. He really gives it his all in these episodes. His crash outs, as I'm going to call them, are all great. Specifically, the one at the end of episode 1 is fantastic. But yeah, he's great. Justin Burfield as Reese is fantastic as well. Slips right back into the character. Christopher Masterson as Francis. And Emma Culigato as Palma? Oh, both great. I'm glad they both came back. I really like them. Because this could totally be one of those shows where I could see them having got divorced or something. I'm glad they're still together. They do have a subplot in the show, in this little mini-series, where they're trying to have a kid, and, she's finally pregnant. Which, again, Malcolm has a teenage daughter. I'm surprised they don't have kids, but I think it's fine at the end of the day. But yeah, I do like both of them. I'm glad they're still together. That's great. The new guy who plays Dewey, Caleb Ellsworth Clark, does fine. I think he's fine. He's barely in it. He mostly is on a video. He's almost entirely on a video screen. But I think that works. There's a part of me that's if he's going to be on a video screen, why even have Dewey in this? But at the end of the day, it all works fine. The new characters are also good. Jamie's barely in it, so I don't really have much to say. They do have one really funny joke near the end, though. The final kid, because if you don't remember the original ending to the show, which to be fair, I didn't either. People explain this to me on TikTok. In the original ending of the show, Malcolm goes off to college, and Hal and Lois find out they're pregnant with another kid. And that new kid is Kelly, played by Von Murray? I don't know how you pronounce their name, but they are a non-binary actor. And the character Kelly is also non-binary. And you know what? I'm fine with that. Because Hal and Lois all have boys. And so the idea of them having a daughter is kind of weird, but a non-binary kid? That's fine. I'm okay with that. And they do a really good job. Their subplot in the miniseries is all about them getting into war with Reese. That they realize they really like being a narc. And I like that. I really think the stuff with them and Reese is all really good. Malcolm's daughter, who is played by Kelly Karsten, Leah, is good. I like her. They kind of like how Malcolm in the original show, he broke the fourth wall and talked to the camera. They give her that same ability. Because if they wanted to do a full show, it would definitely be about her. And, they basically just made her Malcolm. And I think that would work fine. She's good in this. Her mom is, crazy. So Malcolm instead has a girlfriend named Tristan, voiced by Kiana Madeira. She's great as well. She really only shows up in the first and last episode, but in both those moments, she's really good.
And then, of course, they threw everyone else in here. You know, David Anthony Higgins, Jonathan Craig Williams. Let me look through all these other names. Craig Lamar trailer, who was Stevie. That was one of the... Based on all the trailers I had seen, I was kind of worried Stevie wasn't going to be in this. They are. They do have a husband and a child, which I've seen some people disappointed by this. I'm assuming... Because here's the thing. I know the original show dealt with disability, and I know it dealt with race. I don't think it dealt with LGBTQ stuff, but this one does, and I think they're all good choices. I think they all work well. All right, I'm going to make a pot real quick, just because I want to show this off. You know, the pot stuff. Maybe, I don't know what we're going to make. I'll figure it out. I really like the pot system in this game. I think you can do some really cool stuff. I was waiting to get a large pot, but I think it's fine. I'll figure out what I'm going to do. But yeah, they're good. I'm glad Stevie is back. I like Stevie. I don't know how the general audience feels about it, but me personally, I do like Stevie, and I think they're great. They've got one joke in the final episode that I think is fantastic. There's so many other people. And then, of course, the final ones are Bryan Cranston as Hal and Jane Kaczmarek as Lois. And they're... Well, yes, Frankie Muniz is the main character. Muniz? He's, you know, the main character. He's the protagonist. These episodes specifically are all about paying tribute to Hal and Lois. Specifically, the final episode is all about Hal. Like honestly, you're gonna cry in the final episode. As crazy as that sounds, the final episode, when talking about, you know, Hal and Lois's relationship and how much they love each other, and because there's a thing in the original show that was Hal loves Lois more than Lois loves Hal. And yeah, in this final episode, you get Lois trying to prove that she loves Hal just as much, and it got me. And yes, it is a tribute to, as I do take it as this metatextual thing, a tribute to Bryan Cranston as well, in sort of like an America's Dad sort of, not American Dad, but like, you know, like American Dad, like an America's Dad, like Homer Simpson. You know what I mean. To that end, they do a fantastic job. I think Bryan Cranston does some fantastic work in this episode, some great slapstick. In the fourth episode, he finds enlightenment. And, you know, he achieves inner peace, and it's great. It's great. I think everything's on point here. I really do enjoy it. It is basically just a movie. Like, you can just, they could have released this as a move, like the Malcolm in the Middle movie, and I feel like people would treat it the exact same way. But to that end, I think it does its job really well. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's just, my biggest problem is that it's short. You know, it's just 4 episodes. You can finish it in like 2 hours, less time even. And I just want more. I would love to see more. I love these characters. I loved seeing them again. And yeah, I just want more. I don't know if they will. I don't know if this is, you know, a backdoor pilot to give, you know, a new series or something, or if this is just a one-off thing, then as a one-off thing goes, I think they did a good job. But if we do get more, that would also be nice. Yeah, I think that looks nice. Yeah, look at that little vase. Yeah, so as you level up, you unlock more customization stuff. I'm gonna be curious to see what like all the customization stuff is at the end of the day. But yeah, so far, that's a nice looking vase. That'll do some damage, hopefully. One of the things I do wish is I wish we could see how much attack damage. Like, because I do not know if attack damage is determined by pot type, pot size, or both. Because I would guess it would be based on both, because every pot seems to have different attacking moves. But I don't honestly know. I know they each have special abilities. I wish that info, because you know speed, you know health, you know water. I wish that was in the game. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the Malcolm in the Middle reboot. You know, again, if this is just a one-off thing, then they did a fantastic job. If we get more, I would also love to see more. You know, it's clearly paying homage to the original, but in a very loving way. I do now want to go back and watch the original, you know. It is self-referential, obviously, but it's not, like, super like, there are some lines, like, okay, one of the things is, you know, in the original series, Lois talks about how one day Malcolm's going to be president. And I like that they did address that in this. That, like, yeah, Malcolm has goals to be a politician and, you know, maybe become, like, lieutenant governor or something like that. And, yeah, that was nice that they addressed that. And there's a few other moments like that. Again, it's funny. I do think it's very funny. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Malcolm in the Middle again. I'm glad this exists, and I'd love more, but if they don't, and just keep it as the special thing, then it was a special thing. Fun family reunion. Do it again in a few years. You know, if we have to wait another, hopefully not 20 years, but like another like 10, 15 years, and we get another special, then I'd be fine with that. Yeah, everything that already existed I think was good. Everything new also really works. Overall, I think they did a great job. Alright. Do I want to... I honestly don't think... I mean, I've already done some spoilers. I don't feel like I need to do many more. I feel like overall I got my point across that it is good. I do recommend it. I don't want to give away everything, even though I have given away a lot. Again, the jokes are good. That's what matters. The jokes are good. It's funny. It is emotional. It works. It works really well. And yeah, I think that's all I got for that. We're gonna, you know, we made a new pot, or we made a vase. We'll play around with our vase a little bit, and we'll call it. Any other things I've been doing? I was realizing I need to beat Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. I only had, like, a gym in the Elite Four left. And I really need to do that. I just haven't done it. So at some point, I'm gonna do that. I just... you know, there's still always Pokopia. There's also, oh god. There's one other thing as well. What was the other thing we needed to do? I don't know. We got Tomodachi Life next week. We will not be playing Tomodachi Life on stream. I know I had said that in the past, that we're not going to be doing it. And that is still my plan as of this moment, is to just not do Tomodachi Life. You know, that's a personal one. Even though I have seen people have done some crazy stuff with that game already. Somebody did make a Mii Maker online that uses the new game systems, and like people can do like tutorials on how to make Miis. So while it's not QR codes, it's at least it's like the next best thing. See, it was weird that mace didn't do any damage, but I don't know if they were like stunned or... I feel like that should have done a lot. I don't know. Again, this is also in beta. They did release a survey for the beta that was like, hey, you played the beta, now do the survey. And I was like, yeah, I'll do the survey for this game. Yep, sure, of course I will. So I already did fill that out earlier.
Only 2 lives left.
It's good. It's a good game. And yeah, I just haven't, you know, we got Tomodachi Life. I really have not been playing anything else. I don't even... Man, I haven't touched the Switch. I played Mario Kart, and I played a little Splatoon. There's a Splatfest going on this weekend. I don't even know if I'm gonna play it. I did join a team, but I didn't actually, like, do anything. I don't even know if I'm going to. Like, I really didn't get that far ahead. But I played it on, like, Wednesday. Just booted it up for fun, to play, like, a game or two. And when I did, it was like, okay, yeah, I might as well just join a Splatfest team. I feel like that paddleboard, or whatever, paddle ball, what is that called? I feel like that's so strong. I've been just fucking OHKO'd by that. But hey, there's a win.
Brutal. Oh, this is what I like to see.
It's crazy that you know, it sucks that you have to pay to change your Xbox name. Because Xbox is like one of the only places my name is still my old name. Just because you have to pay money to change it. And I don't want to pay money. Alright, let's do that. So anything else in the future? Any other plans? Any other thing I'm going to do? I don't know. Obviously, next week we're going to talk about Tomodachi Life. I'm going to have fun with that. I bought $1 million in turnips in Animal Crossing this week, and I got fluctuating prices, and I sold at the very last minute. But I'm glad I did, because I sold for like 130. I bought for like 103, sold for 137. So I only made like 300k, but I still made like 300k. I've got 2 million in the bank, and then another 1 million just to spend on turnips tomorrow. So I've got some money. Today was the fishing tournament. Man, I wish I liked the fishing tournament more. I wish it was... The problem is, the fishing tournament, they give you a 3-minute timer. If they had doubled it, I think I would like it a lot more. If they just made the fishing tournament longer, I think it would be more enjoyable. I know it's easier to get points when you're playing with friends, that you get, because you get a bonus for catching 3 or more fish. But then you also get a bonus for, I think, playing with friends. You get like you get more points. I wish there was more to it than that. But other than that, I don't really have anything else. Oh, I did buy a game. I had mentioned, you know, Saros, the new game from Housemarque? Who makes Saros? I think it's Housemarque. It might be somebody else. Their new game comes out at the end of the month. And I had said that I was curious, but I wanted to play Returnal first. At least give it a try. And, you know, maybe if I really liked Returnal, I would play Saros. And Returnal finally went on sale this week. It was like $20. I bought Returnal, so I do now have that. I don't know, you know, I have not booted up the PS5 in so long. So I don't know how much time I'm going to put into it, if I'm even actually going to play it anytime soon. But I'm glad it is Housemarque. I was right. I'm glad I did, because Returnal has always kind of been on my radar. But I was just kind of waiting. Other than that, I don't think we're going to play Captain Toad. I don't know what we're doing after Captain Toad. Like, I know we're doing Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, and that's kind of it. I have a few ideas, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see. I think that's it. I really do think that's it. So with that, we're going to end off. We'll be back next week. You know, maybe we'll have a new Star Fox game to talk about, because I could see it being announced next week. Maybe we'll have some Splatoon Raiders. I hope we have something. I hope we come in next week and we've got something from one of those two things. But until then, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Till next time, peace.